Okay, so imagine this. What if what if the key to unlocking some hidden past, full of secrets, maybe profound revelations, what if it just landed right in your lap? What would you even do with something like that? Today, we're going to dive into M.G. Vassanji's novel, The Book of Secrets. It won the Giller Prize, published back in 1994. And our mission, really, is to sort of unpack this amazing piece of historical fiction. We want to explore how it weaves together these really personal stories with, well, the much broader picture of East African history, particularly under colonial rule, and also why its themes, memory, identity, the slippery nature of truth, why they still feel so relevant.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating, isn't it? How the discovery of just one diary, a single object, really kicks off this huge journey through time, and it uncovers all these hidden connections that honestly will probably surprise you.
Right. And it all kicks off with a character named Pio. He's a retired school teacher living in modern-day Dar es Salaam. And he just stumbles upon this personal journal. It belonged to Alfred Corbin, who was a British colonial administrator way back. This was in Tanganyika, which is now Tanzania, back in the early 20th century. And Pio, well, he becomes completely obsessed. You can understand why, right? Trying to crack these cryptic entries and figure out what secrets it actually holds. It almost feels like a historical detective story.
Oh, it absolutely is, yeah.
Yeah.
And as Pio digs deeper, he doesn't just find like isolated facts. He starts unearthing this shocking intergenerational ripple effect, all stemming from one seemingly forgotten colonial decision. It reveals just how deeply Corbin's past was tangled up with the local Indian and African communities, and amazingly, even with Pio's own family history. It's a really powerful illustration of how individual lives are fundamentally linked with these bigger historical forces, often in ways we just don't see right away.
Hmm. So the way the story is told, the narrative structure, that must be pretty important here. How does Vassanji manage shifting between Pierre's sort of present-day investigation and all those historical events? How does he make it feel so intricate, but also, compelling?
That's where Vassanji's skill really comes through. He shifts back and forth constantly. You've got Pio's quest now, and then you're back in the past, often through these kind of fragmented diary entries or maybe unreliable memories someone recounts. And this technique, it brilliantly highlights the novel's core theme, just how subjective truth really is. It keeps you, the reader, constantly questioning what's actually real versus what's just remembered or maybe misinterpreted. It doesn't just hand you the facts.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the secrets in the title, they aren't just like specific things revealed in Corbin's diary, are they? It feels bigger than that.
Exactly. Yeah, if we broaden the view a bit, the secrets also stand for all those unspoken histories, right? The suppressed traumas, maybe the hidden motives that really shape lives, both individual and collective, sometimes for generations. So yeah, it's about what gets revealed, definitely, but it's just as much about what stays hidden, what remains unsaid, or maybe what can't be said.
And the atmosphere Vassanji creates. I mean, his writing, it's so evocative. It just brings colonial East Africa completely to life. You can almost feel the stifling humidity in Dar es Salaam or the tension in those segregated tea houses. It makes you really feel those cultural clashes, that sort of precarious power balance.
Oh, definitely. And he fills this world with characters who feel incredibly real, multifaceted. You got the enigmatic Corbin, of course, but also the resilient Indian traders, the indigenous African people. It's such a diverse cast. And each character is grappling with their own moral ambiguities, and the sheer weight of their heritage. It sort of prompts us, doesn't it, to ask how individuals navigate periods like that when their own identities are tied up in potentially conflicting forces or legacies.
And Vassanji himself, being part of the East African Indian diaspora, he brings such a nuanced view to it all,
Yeah.
to the experiences of people caught between cultures, between homelands. How does he really explore those themes? Displacement, belonging, how identity itself is even constructed.
Oh, yeah. And that's crucial. It's particularly striking how the novel subtly examines colonialism's impact, not just on the big things like political structures, but right down to the souls of individuals. It shows that colonialism left this complex legacy, right? There was undeniable progress in some ways, but also profound disruption. It left this deep imprint on the human psyche that, echoes down through families. And while the pacing, it can feel a bit deliberate sometimes, maybe requires some patience.
Right.
That actually allows for this deeper immersion. You get really sunk into the historical context, but also the characters' inner lives, their psychology. And that mystery at the heart of the diary, it acts as this really powerful engine, pulling you through all the rich historical detail and the more introspective bits.
So it really is more than just a historical mystery. It's like you said, a profound meditation on how we even construct truth. Masanji seems to challenge that whole idea of history as the single objective thing. Instead, he shows it as something much more fluid, constantly being reshaped by who's telling the story, by selective memory, and just, well, the passage of time itself.
Yeah, and what's really striking is that the secrets, at the end of the day, they're less about finding definitive answers and more about the ongoing process, the discovery, the interpretation. It never quite feels finished. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How often do we mistake just one version of a story, maybe in our own lives or families, for the absolute whole truth?
Hmm. Yeah, we've really seen how Vassanji brilliantly uses this very personal quest, Pio, trying to understand this diary to shed light on much larger forces. The forces that shape lives, entire cultures, even history itself. It's an enduring book, a really powerful read. It's one that definitely sticks with you afterwards.
Right. And looking at the bigger picture, connecting this outward, the Book of Secrets truly highlights that history isn't some fixed objective thing we just uncover. It's much more like a fluid narrative, constantly shaped by individual viewpoints, by faulty or selective memory, by time passing. It really forces us to confront the idea that what we often call history is, well, it's frequently a curated collection of stories, isn't it?
So, what does this all mean for you listening?
Well, this book, it's a deeply rewarding read if you're interested in post-colonial literature, writing that explores the lasting effects, the cultural impacts of colonial rule, or if you're interested in East African history specifically, or honestly, if you just appreciate a beautifully told story about the enduring power of the past and how it never really lets us go.
Yeah, and maybe it leaves us with a question to ponder, something for all of us. Beyond the sort of grand narratives of history, what are the subtle, unspoken secrets in our own lives? The hidden histories, maybe, or the unspoken motivations within our own families or communities that continue to shape who we are? And how do we actually engage with that fluidity, that uncertainty in our own personal pasts?